Let us now move on to take the next sutram in the Ashtadhyayi order, which is 3395, which says Stha ga pa pacho bhave. Stha ga pa pacho bhave. Anuvritti of Ktin as well as Triyam is coming down from the prior sutram 3394, Triyam Ktin. Now why does Panini say bhave in this sutram? We already know the anuvritti of 3318 bhave as well as 3319 akartri chakarake sanyayam is running through this sutram. So why does Panini again say bhave? Why can't we just use anuvritti from 3318 bhave? Reason is that this sutram prescribes the affix Ktin only in the sense of bhave. So by saying bhave, Panini is saying that the anuvritti of 3319, which is akartri chakarake sanyayam, is not to be taken here. This sutram prescribes the affix Ktin only in the sense of bhave. That's why Panini repeats bhave over here in spite of the anuvritti of 3318 bhave coming down here. That is to exclude the anuvritti of 3319 that does not apply here. So this is a sutram which prescribes the affix Ktin only in the sense of bhave. It prescribes the affix Ktin following only 4 verbal roots, which are as follows: Stha, which is Shtha gati nivrittau in the bhvadiganaha; Ga, which is Gai shabde from the bhvadiganaha. Of course, we know that by 6145 Adecha Upadesheshiti, that when we have a verbal root ending in a H letter, A, O, I, Au, then that ending H letter becomes a Akaraha, as long as we know that there is not going to be a talavya shakara as a it following the verbal root. In this case, the affix Ktin is going to be applied. There is no question of a talavya shakara as a it here. So therefore, this dhatu Gai immediately takes the form Ga by 6145 Adech Upadesheshiti. That is why in the sutram Panini says Ga. It refers to the verbal root Gai Shabde. The third one is Pa, which is Pa Pane. Now here we don't take the verbal root Pa Rakshane, because that belongs to the Adadiganaha. And we know that Adi Prabhritibhya Shapaha, the Shap takes the look elision following a verbal root belonging to the Adadiganaha. We have a paribhasha which says that Lug Vikaranayor, Alug Vikaranasya, which means that if there is a choice to take a verbal root from the Adad, following which the look elision of the affix shap is prescribed by Adi Prabhritibhya Shapaha, which is 2472, and hence a verbal root belonging to the Adadigana is called a Lug Vikaranaha. So when there is a choice of taking a dhatu which is Lug Vikaranaha and one which is not, in this case Papane is Bhadiganaha, then we have to take the one which is not the Lug Vikaranaha. So here we don't take Pa Rakshane from the Adadiganaha, we take Papane only from the Bhavadiganaha. And the fourth verbal root is Pach, which is Dupashpake, which of course we know from the Bhadiganaha. So meaning of this sutram becomes the affix Ktin may be used following the verbal roots Stha, Gai, Pa or Pach to denote the feminine gender bhavaha, which means the sense of the verbal root as having attained to a completed state. The question comes, why do we need this sutram? Why not just use Triyam Ktin? What's the problem with that? The problem is that we'll be studying a sutram shortly, the sutram 33106, Adashchopasarge. Now one warning here is that do not confuse this sutram 33106 Adashchopasarge with the identically worded sutram Adashchopasarge, which is 31136, which we have studied. 31136 is also Atashchopasarge. That prescribes the affix Ka in the sense of Kartari Krit. It's completely different from this one, 33106 Atashchopasarge. This one prescribes the affix Ang following a verbal root ending in a Akaraha when the verbal root is with a Upasargaha. But this is used to form feminine nouns in the sense of either Bhave or Akarti Chakarake Sanyaya. So in the case of the verbal roots Stha, Gai and Pa, the affix Ang prescribed by Atashchopasarge is an exception to the affix Ktin. It's apavadaha to the affix Ktin. Let us recall one more time that by 3194 Vasarupo Striyam, it says Astriyam. The Striyam Adhikaraha. We don't have the Vasarupa Vidhi, which means that the exception completely overrules the Utsargaha. So the affix Ang prescribed by 33106 would completely overrule the Utsargaha Ktin. But now we do need to apply the affix Ktin following verbal roots stha, gai and pa, even when upasarga is present, only in the sense of bhave, but 33106 applies in the sense of both bhave as well as akarti chakarake sanyaya. Now this 3395 comes and says that in the sense of bhave, the affix ktin should be used following these three verbal roots stha, gai and pa, and not the affix ang prescribed by 33106. So that is why we need this sutram to stop 33106 in the case of stha, gai and pa. Again, only in the sense of bhave. In the case of the fourth verbal root pach, which is dupachash pake, it has a murdhanya shakara as it, bahalantyam there. In the case of this verbal root 33104, shid bhizadibhyong would apply. Again, the same thing here. That sutram 33104 describes the affix ang following any verbal root which has a murdhanya shakara as it. So that would completely block the affix ktin, but we need the affix ktin to get the form pakti, which is the form, the desired form. So therefore Panini has put the verbal root pach in this sutram also to tell us that in the sense of bhave, the affix ktin should be used following the verbal root pach and not the affix ang prescribed by 33104 shid bhidadibhyong. So that is the reason for composing this sutram, is that even though 3394 is available, it would have been overruled by 33106 in the case of stha, gai and pa, and by 33104 in the case of pach. So that is why the sutram is required to bring back the affix ktin following these four verbal roots, again only in the sense of bhave. Let's take the example upasthanam upasthitihi, derived from the verbal root stha with the upasarga upa. As already explained, what would have happened here is that 33106 would have come and prescribed the affix ang as an exception to ktin, but now in the sense of bhave, in the sense of the verbal root as having attained to a completed state, we use the affix ktin by this special sutram 3395, stha, ga, pa, pacho, bhave. Upastha means to be present, to be close by, to attend. So upasthitihi means presence, proximity, attendance. Those are the meanings of upasthitihi. Derivation is quite simple. We take upastha plus ktin by 3395. Remove the letters nakarasis sanya by halantyam, kakarasis sanya by shakatadite tasya lopaha, upasthati. And now because the affix ktin is a takara dikit pratyaha, we use 7440. Dyati syati mastha mittikiti. Ikara is substituted in place of the final of the verbal root do, so, ma, stha when followed by an affix which is kit and begins with a takara. We have the affix ktin right now, so we use this sutram 7440, replace the ending akara of stha by ikara and we get upasthiti, which gets the pratipadika sanya by krit tadita samasascha. Now the Siddhanta Kaumudi says katham avastha samstheti. How do we get the forms avastha and samstha? We just described that this special sutram 3395 tells us to use the affix ktin following the verbal root stha in the sense of bhave. But then how do we get the forms avastha and samstha where the affix ang has been used by 33106? The answer is that Panini himself has used the word vyavastha in sutram 1134. Purva paravara dakshinottara paradharani vyavasthayam sanyayam vyavasthayam. Saptami ekvachanam of vyavastha. So that becomes a jnapakam, a hint by Panini that this sutram 3395 is not sarvatrikam. It doesn't overrule ang every single place. So this jnapakam is used to justify forms like avastha and samstha, where the affix ktin should have applied by the sutram 3395, but in spite of that, because Panini has used the pratipadikam vyavastha in 1134, that tells us that sometimes the affix ang may still apply even following these four verbal roots.